Approximately 72 hours after the FBI raided former President Trump's residence in Florida, Attorney General Merrick Garland finally emerged to break his silence. In a short prepared statement, Garland confirmed that he personally approved the raid and rejected accusations of improper behavior by agents of the FBI or DOJ. But more questions and answers still remain. Current news reporting claim the 9-hour 30-agent raid was connected to missing or improperly stored presidential records. Now, even that raises questions as to why a full-scale raid was necessary. Was it driven by politics or national security? Why did we not see the same action with Hillary Clinton and her illegal storage of top-secret information? With me now to talk about this is Chad Wolf, former acting secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and now chairman of the Center of Homeland Security and Immigration at American Family Policy Institute. Chad, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, first, I want to get your initial reaction to the raid.
Well, I think it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, and I think it just further polarizes the country. I think most Americans, as you indicated, Tony, see a misapplication of the law, or at least not an equal application of the law. So whether you're talking about Hillary Clinton, there's other examples of where many conservatives, including the former president, are being treated one way and others are not. And I think that's really the most concerning thing that a lot of Americans are looking at, is saying why did such dramatic steps have to be taken when the former president and his attorneys counsel were cooperating with the federal government, with the FBI and others. And I think, AG Garland basically said it during his very short and brief press conference. He said routinely, our standard of practice is to use the least intrusive means to obtain this information. So the question back to the AG is, well, why didn't they do that here? Please lay out the circumstances where you couldn't use that least intrusive means or measures to get the information you wanted. Why did you have to do such a raid at the president's home in the manner in which it was conducted? I think that's really what many Americans really want answered at the end of the day.
Chad, let me go back just a moment for the benefit of our viewers and listeners. While you served as acting Secretary of Homeland Security, you've spent your entire career almost in the federal government. You've been in different agencies at different levels, and so you're not new to law enforcement or new to the government. This was highly unusual. I mean, when I mentioned Hillary Clinton, and I know that happened under the Barack Obama administration, where the FBI director, Comey, said, yes, she's got classified information, top secret information, but we're not going to recommend that they prosecute. The Trump administration did not pick that up, even though more information became available, as we saw the hoax, the Russia hoax. We saw discrediting text messages from FBI agents that showed bias. The Trump administration didn't pick that up and run with it. I'm told by those in the White House is because they didn't want to create a political circus like we see happening right now. I'm struggling to find this not having a political motive. Help me here.
Well, I think your instincts are right. I think there's a lot of political overtones to what's going on here. And I think if you just look back at the history of our country, we've got 2 centuries of kind of precedent where we don't go after former presidents. We don't harass them and we don't persecute them because we don't like what they said or what they did politically. And I think what AG Garland and the Biden administration did, they basically threw that precedent out. And they said, now it's fair game to go after a former president and to do a very public style raid with 30, 40, 50 officers when he's not there and when there's a skeleton crew at that residence. Why did you need that many folks? Why did you need that search warrant at that time? So I think there's a lot of unanswered questions, but absolutely, this is very different from the norm. And it's very, very unusual. And again, the administration is not providing answers. They're not being transparent with the American people. And we see this on issue after issue after issue with this administration. It's sort of don't believe your lying eyes, right? Don't believe what your eyes and your heart are telling you. You have it wrong. We have it right. And the American people deserve to know and to have more information about what's going on here.
I want to talk a little bit about the process, how this judge, this federal magistrate in Florida, was selected to present this information. By the way, the Attorney General saying that he is going to ask the judge to release the warrant. The search warrant only contains limited information. It's the affidavit that the agents, that the federal government filed to get the search warrant that contains all the information. To my based on my previous experience in law enforcement, and that's not being requested. So what's released, if it is released, is going to be very limited in the information it provides.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I think the affidavit is really where you have the majority of the information. I think that provide the most transparency about really what were they seeking, very, very specifically, that they needed to do this type of raid, to take this type of aggressive action that's out of the norm. What was what was the national security basis? Because I assume that's what they're talking about here. And that's laid out in the affidavit. I don't think we're going to get that information from the search warrant. So again, the administration, the Department of Justice needs to be more transparent with the American people. Now, they will say that this is the way it's always done, right? They don't talk and they don't give press conferences about warrants and active investigations. And I understand that. I've been part of law enforcement agencies. This is so unique. This is so unusual that I think it's certainly appropriate for the Department of Justice to start talking, to start saying things and doing things that they normally wouldn't do, because it's not every day, again, that you're going to raid a former president's home in the manner in which they did.
Well, and what I'm hearing, Chad, from people across the country is fear. And I don't think Americans should live in fear of their government, but they're saying if the president, the former president of the United States, had his home, and a man's home is his castle, being raided by the federal government, then who in this country is safe?
Well, that's right. I think we've seen it, unfortunately, over the last 16 or 17 months. What we are saying is the weaponization of the levers of government, right? We had the AG talking about how parents should be targeted because if they show up at a school board and voice their opinions about what's going on, about what their children are being taught, well, maybe they could be labeled as a domestic terrorist and use the levers of the federal government to come after them. So it's not just in this one case, but this one case actually is bringing it to the light now. Is how do you selectively use your law enforcement discretion to go after your political opponents? And I think whether you see it from, what's going on January 6th and Peter Navarro and former President Trump, these things are only happening to one select group of individuals, and that's conservatives or those on the right. And you said it at the top, Hillary Clinton and others on the left don't receive the same type of scrutiny, don't receive the same type of actions from the federal government. And that's where it's a basic premise of fairness that I think most Americans are saying, something doesn't smell right here. It doesn't seem right, and we need more information to make better judgments.
I think you're absolutely right. My concern is I don't think we're going to get that information out of this administration. I think it's going to be a hard, long slog to get that type of information and to correct this. Chad Wolf, we're out of time. Always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on this Friday. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.